Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you the stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison LaGrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. Ukraine targets Moscow in what is being said to be the largest ever drone attack on the Russian capital, killing at least one person, sparking fires and forcing suspension of flights and trains. Donald Trump calls Canada a tariff abuser and claims the US does not need Canadian energy after the Ontario province imposed an electricity surcharge on 3 US states. Syria's interim government signs a deal with the Kurdish-led militia alliance SDF, which controls the country's northeast, giving it control of the region's border posts, airport and oil fields. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi receives a ceremonial welcome from Mauritius Prime Minister Navin Ramgoolam as he arrives in Port Louis on a 2-day visit focusing on trade and maritime security. And global stock markets register heavy fall amid fears that a trade war could result in a recession in the US, even as the White House denied that Trump's policies are causing chaos. Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest from Saudi Arabia, where the US and Ukrainian officials are meeting to negotiate an end to the war with Russia. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky met the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to lay the groundwork for the talks. Zelensky called for building trust in diplomatic efforts between the parties involved. The US-Ukraine talks in Saudi Arabia come less than 2 weeks since President Trump and Zelensky's White House talks descended into an unprecedented public bust-up. Joined by Vice President J.D. Vance, Trump accused Zelensky of being a warmonger, looking to avoid ceasefire with Russia. Zelensky was also accused of being ungrateful to the U.S. for military assistance to Ukraine. Since that show of geopolitical cinema for the history books, Trump has stopped U.S. military assistance, as well as intelligence sharing with Kyiv. With this, Ukraine is reportedly left with arms and weaponry to fight Russia only until the middle of this year. As Kyiv's military capabilities face the Trump test, Russian forces have further advanced inside Ukraine, denying Kyiv a potential territorial bargaining chip in the peace talks. Amid logistical, territorial and diplomatic setbacks for Ukraine, all in the backdrop of Trump's push to quickly end the war, the peace talks in Saudi Arabia have become all too significant. The agenda for the talks virtually underlines the end of all visible signs of the war that has been raging since February of 2022. Now, they involve the release of prisoners by both Russia and Ukraine, truce in the sky, truce in the sea, and cessation of bombing on civilian infrastructure. Meanwhile, Russia has asserted that it wants a long-term peace deal over a US-backed quick ceasefire. Moscow is also likely to seek the permanent control of Ukrainian territory it currently holds. Besides, Russia wants the US to halt NATO's unrestrained expansion to its borders and ensure no new members are added to the US-led alliance. As Russia seeks long-term peace deal with Ukraine, the talks in Saudi Arabia are set to touch upon broader contours of bringing stability between the two sides as well. Ukraine wants to be a part of the US-led security alliance NATO to deter a potential Russian offensive in the future. Trump-led US has denied the possibility of Ukraine joining NATO. Russia already deems NATO's expansion on its borders a sovereign threat. With NATO membership off the table, Ukraine seeks an alternate security guarantee to deter Russia. Now, the US is making such a potential security guarantee subject to the possibility of a signing of a $500 billion mineral deal with Ukraine. Now, the full details of such a potential security deal sought by Ukraine from the US are yet to emerge. Which brings us to the peace talks deliverable deemed most important by Trump-led America, the $500 billion deal for Ukraine's rare earth minerals. The critical mineral deal will once again be on the table between Ukraine and the US. In recent days, Ukraine's President Zelensky has shown readiness to sign the mineral deal. Despite Zelensky's readiness, President Donald Trump has doubted Ukraine's intent to want peace with Russia.
Well, I think they will sign the minerals deal, but I want them to want peace. Right
How do
now,
they show that? How do they show they want peace?
Well, right now they haven't shown it to the extent that they should. I think right now they haven't, but I think they will be, and I think it's going to become evident over the next 2 or 3 days.
In Saudi Arabia, Ukraine finds itself at a diplomatic crossroads, with American military aid paused, territorial losses mounting, and a $5 billion mineral deal now tied to its security guarantees, a $500 billion mineral deal. Kyiv is navigating a fragile balancing act. For the Trump-led US, peace seems increasingly transactional, while Moscow appears to be taking these talks as an opportunity to cement territorial gains. What unfolds in the coming days could well redefine the trajectory of a war that has reshaped geopolitics since 2022. We will be tracking these developments closely. And shifting focus to the Philippines, the former President Rodrigo Duterte has been arrested in Manila as the Filipino authorities act upon an international criminal court warrant. The Hague-based court found Duterte responsible for crimes against humanity and extrajudicial killings of thousands of people during his infamous war on drugs between 2016 and 2022. Earlier this morning, the 79-year-old populist politician was detained in Manila shortly after flying into the country from Hong Kong at 9:20 a.m. local time. Upon Duterte's arrest, scores of his supporters rallied outside the airbase where the firebrand former leader was detained. Many hailed Duterte's war on drugs, despite the massive loss of lives incurred during his narcos endgame.
I am sad, dismayed, and angry at what happened. Duterte is old, and he did not deserve what they did to him. What he did was for the Philippines. The time that he was the president was peaceful. There was less crime, and there was order when he was in power. He did not deserve this treatment.
The former president's lawyer has called his arrest unlawful because the Philippines withdrew from the International Criminal Court in 2019. The ICC maintains that Manila was still a part of the body when most of Duterte's purported crimes against humanity took place. Philippines continues to be a member of Interpol, which sought Duterte's arrest on behalf of the ICC. Now, the three-judge ICC warrant against Duterte called the former president individually responsible for crimes against humanity. The ICC warrant noted that killings of alleged drug traffickers were both widespread and systematic during Duterte's war on drugs. The war on drugs was the signature campaign policy which Duterte deployed for more than 2 decades as mayor of Davao, the second largest city in the Philippines. In 2016, Duterte had parlayed his law and order credentials as the Davao mayor into a victory in the presidential election on the campaign trail, and while being in office, Duterte vowed to prevent Philippines from cascading into a so-called narco state. Infamously, Duterte had said he would be happy to slaughter drug addicts for the sake of his country. The statement later drew many to a comparison of Duterte with Nazi dictator Adolf Hitler. Duterte's war on drugs had drawn fierce condemnation from human rights groups, world leaders, and several UN agencies. It is unclear how many people were killed during Duterte's 6-year-long war on drugs, but an international watchdog estimated that about 12,000 Filipinos were killed between 2016 and 2022. Amid global uproar, a case against Duterte was filed in the International Criminal Court in 2017 on charges of mass murder and crimes against humanity. Now, he repeatedly denied the charges. The ICC formally authorized an investigation into his drug crackdown in 2021. An arrest warrant was finally issued on the 7th of March 2025. Philippines executed the warrant on the 11th of March 2025. The former Filipino president's arrest marks a rare triumph for the Hague-based International Criminal Court, which in recent months has struggled to get nation-states to act on its warrants. Inside Manila's corridors of power, Duterte's arrest is likely to amplify the existing feud between Duterte's successor, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., and his daughter, Sara Duterte, the country's vice president. And for our next story, we look at South Korean car maker Kia. Its division in Norway ran an advertisement featuring one of its electric vehicle cars. What was supposed to be a local marketing move soon spiraled into a mess because of a sticker on the vehicle. The electric vehicle around which this controversy revolves is the EV3, an entry-level model. The ad, which has now been taken down, read, and I quote, "I bought this car after Elon went crazy." Now, this bumper sticker was played off a viral trend where disappointed owners of Tesla cars put similar stickers on their cars. Fed up with Musk's foray into politics, this trend was meant to signal regret over their purchase of cars from a company that Musk owns. But the ad by South Korea's Kia didn't last long. When asked about the ad, the company quickly pulled it down. It denied any responsibility and made it clear that the move was by Kia Norway and something not approved by Kia Europe or its main corporation. But by the time that happened, the internet had already taken notice along with Musk himself. Responding to that ad, he asked, did they actually do it? It didn't put out the fire, but only invited more debate. Now, the timing of this entire incident comes at a tricky point for Musk. The fact that he is an advisor to the US President Donald Trump and he heads the Department of Government Efficiency hasn't gone down well with many. Now, in the US, Tesla facilities have been vandalized. Kia's ad that backfired also comes when X recently suffered a cyber attack. Over in Europe, Tesla sales are nosediving. In Germany, the EV maker's sales dropped 76% year-on-year in February. And this followed Musk's support for a far-right party named the AfD. Across Europe, Tesla sales have almost halved. Even though Musk enjoys full backing from Trump, some polls show he is not as popular among ordinary American citizens. Kia may have removed the ad, but the message lingered. Whether Musk shrugs it off or Tesla makes a bigger hit is something yet to be seen. But one thing that remains clear is his deep political influences are making significant impacts on his businesses. Now, despite efforts to curb pollution, India remains a global hotspot for hazardous air quality. With 13 of the world's most polluted cities located within its borders. This is according to a new air quality report compiled by Swiss air technology company IQ Air. Now, India, which ranked third in global pollution levels in 2023, saw a slight improvement in 2024, dropping to 5th place. It still remains among the world's worst affected nations. The top 4 most polluted countries are Chad, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. While India's year-on-year rankings may have improved, the progress remains slow. Now, Baranat, which is in India's northeast state of Meghalaya, is the most polluted city worldwide. 6 of the world's 10 most polluted cities are still in India. Delhi has retained its title as the most polluted capital city. The city, which has accustomed to severe pollution, recorded an annual PM2.5 concentration of 91.6 micrograms per cubic meter, barely changing from the 92.7 in 2023. The other 4 most polluted capitals are Beijing, Baghdad, Hanoi, and Kuwait City. Delhi has now held the title of the world's most polluted capital for 6 consecutive years, with 5 of its neighbors satellite cities, and they are Faridabad, Loni, Gurgaon, Noida, and New Delhi. And we have compared their air quality indexes to smoking cigarettes in real time as, say, of 1 p.m. GMT. Now, to show if a human is exposed to this kind of air quality for nearly 24 hours, this is what happens. 24 hours spent in the current AQI in Loni is equivalent to smoking over 11 cigarettes. For Gurgaon, the number is close to 7. For New Delhi, it is equivalent to smoking over 5 cigarettes a day. And for Noida and Faridabad, the number stands closer to 3. Now, the report reveals that 35% of Indian cities recorded annual PM 2.5 levels exceeding 10 times the WHO limit. Long-term exposure to such levels is a serious health risk. It can reduce life expectancy in India by an estimated 5.2 years. Now, these pollutants are emitted by fossil fuel combustion, dust storms, and wildfires. They can infiltrate the lungs and bloodstream, leading to respiratory diseases, chronic kidney conditions, heart attacks, strokes, cancer, and mental health issues. Air pollution is not just an Indian problem, it is an Asian crisis. All but one of the world's top 20 most polluted cities are in Asia, with 13 in India, 4 in Pakistan, and 1 in China, 1 in Kazakhstan. Now, the only city outside of Asia on the list is N'Djamena, the capital of Chad. The nation holds the unenviable title of the world's most polluted country. Even in North America, pollution hotspots exist. The worst hit centers in the United States are all located in California. Now, this is primarily due to the wildfires and vehicle emissions. India's battle against toxic air remains far from over. With millions of people still exposed to hazardous levels of air pollution, urgent action is needed. Strengthening emission regulators and reducing reliance on coal, expanding green energy initiatives and implementing stricter vehicle pollution norms could help India breathe easier. For now, however, the air pollution remains thick and the fight for cleaner skies continues. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gushin Galit and you're watching Firstpost.